This video is a little different than most of the ones that I usually do. In this video, I wanted to talk about and my take on some of the contradictions that a lot of people seem to face with regards to the this environmental movement that seems to be hitting the mainstream media, and some of the elements of this eco-friendly movement. First of all, one of the contradictions seems to be go vegetarian, and there seems to be a big push for going vegetarian, vegetarian this, vegan friendly that, gluten free this, whatever that. And it may seem really overwhelming, especially since a lot of studies are coming out showing that too much soy or an excess of soy products in the diet can be harmful, especially to women. I saw that on a Dr. Oz show, and I had also been reading that in other media sources. And I wanted to give my take on some of the controversies and contradictions within this eco-friendly movement. First of all, so the go vegetarian push versus a lot of these foods are genetically modified, might be bad for you approach. I don't think they are necessarily at odds against each other. Yeah, I think going vegetarian is great on the one hand, and I do think that consuming too much soy on the other hand is bad. So I don't see anything wrong with either stance. Personally, I am trying to cut back on the soy that I consume, because I do agree that too much of anything is bad for you. And my solution to that is to take everything in moderation. You know, don't have every meal that you consume be made out of soy products. And when you are shopping, make sure you look to see whether the products that you are purchasing are genetically modified or not. A lot of soy-based products are genetically modified, and a lot of them are not. Are the products that you're consuming organic? There are ways that you can be a smart consumer, and you don't necessarily have to give up the desire to be more vegetarian just because you feel like some of the products are bad. That is taking it to a completely different extreme by saying, well, since I can't consume as much soy as I want, what am I supposed to do? I might as well not be vegetarian. No, that's utter ludicrousness. Whatever. It's bad, because everything should be in moderation. You should say, hey, you know, maybe every meal I should consume shouldn't be soy-based. Maybe I should have some veggies in there. Heaven forbid we not consume enough veggies. This leads me to the second contradiction, the raw foods movement. A lot of people are advocates of raw food. I'm an advocate of raw foodism and the raw foods lifestyle. I love eating raw foods. I was a high raw person for a very long time, and I enjoyed it. And I do plan on going back to being high raw. But at the same time, you have the opponents of the raw food movement, or skeptics of the raw food movement, saying that, well, raw fooders are not consuming enough proteins, they're not consuming enough minerals in their diet, which also is not necessarily true, and it's an incomplete diet. Well, to that I say, again, everything in moderation. Maybe 100% raw food is not good for you because of certain issues that you have medically or otherwise. Maybe a 60% raw food diet is good for you. Maybe a 50% raw food diet is good for you. But I can almost guarantee, unless you're some of these raw food gurus and raw food maniacs out here, well, I don't want to say maniacs, but unless you're some of these people that make a living and are trying to make a buck off of raw food, you probably aren't consuming enough raw food as to where it's going to be an issue in the first place. That's like complaining over something, but you're not doing it enough to know whether or not you're having issues with it. So try eating raw food for a whole day. Nothing but raw and living fruits and vegetables. And see if it really makes you feel any better, or if it makes you feel worse. Try actually doing something before complaining about the issues that you have with it. So again, everything in moderation. Most likely you're not consuming enough raw foods to know whether or not it's going to be an issue for you. So try consuming more. And again, if you feel that it's not for you, then try just incorporating more raw foods into your diet. You don't have to take it to either extreme. And I think a lot of people feel that they do. and that's not necessarily the case. And another thing, people say plastic bags are so wrong, plastic bags are so bad, yet they say use reusable bags, but then at the same time, when people find ways to reuse these plastic bags, they say, oh, well, no, this is bad, you're not supposed to use this. For example, poop scoop bags. Yes, I do use plastic store bags that I still have stashed in my closet to scoop poop. Why? For my dog, of course. Why? Because it's a great way to use them up, and though people say, yeah, it's bad because they don't biodegrade, well, okay, these plastic bags are going to end up in the landfill anyway. Why not use it to scoop poop? Which is another concern, because in my community, I don't like stepping in poop. I like knowing that my community is poop free. So yeah, I'm going to use a plastic store bag to scoop my poop. It might not be biodegradable, and it might not be the best option, but it is an option out there. And it gets the bags out of my closet, stashed away, and using for a higher purpose. So I don't really have too many issues with that. Maybe I will get to a point where I can actually purchase all my bags to be biodegradable. But to me that even seems a little counterintuitive, because it's like I have all these bags that I need to use up and use for a higher purpose, so why not use them? Okay, the next contradiction that I have, or that I find and that I wanted to address, is people say, okay, cut back on your energy. On one hand, cut back on your energy by not using so many lights, using more candles, using more natural lights, that sort of thing. But on the other side, they're saying, well, burning candles is bad for the environment in your house and in your home. And it's not good because you're putting smoke and all these toxins and carcinogens in the atmosphere in your home. First of all, how many of us burn enough candles as it is for it to be a big problem for our breathing and for our that we're consuming so many toxins? Second of all, yeah, moderation. Again, moderation. Yeah, maybe we could cut back on our electricity use by using more candles or using more natural lighting. How many of us are getting enough vitamin D? It wouldn't hurt to keep our windows open a little bit. It wouldn't hurt to burn a few candles every now and again to cut back on power. And also, another thing to think about is all that electricity we're using from our laptops and computers to our TV to our microwave. They're putting out radiation. So that's another issue. You want us to, people say, cut back on electricity and don't burn candles because they're bad, but we're still getting radiation from day-to-day products that we use, electronic products that we use. So again, everything in moderation. Maybe, you know, in the evening, cut back on using so many lights, burn some candles, set the mood, do whatever. And during the day, open up some windows. You know, let some natural light in. Also, people say cut back on using our air conditioners and our heaters and use natural sources of heating and air conditioning by lifting our windows. I think that's a great idea. I think that's an awesome idea. And if you have allergy issues, they have filters for that. They have HEPA filters you can get. They have other type of air ionizers and equipment that you can use to help treat the air in your home. So I don't think you should necessarily rule out, all that to say this, I don't think you should necessarily rule out an idea because you hear one contradictory or a couple of contradictory things about it. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Excuse me. And if you hear the story behind that, actually, that phrase, it's pretty interesting. But in sum, take everything with moderation. Don't get worked up about it. And if you know that you're doing something better and taking individual steps to making this environment more livable for all of us, then kudos to you. Good job. Keep it up. Thanks.